So, I love my props. We're going to talk about this. We love you, kiddos. Everybody wave to the kiddos as they go. Bye, kiddos. It's so wonderful to be in the presence of the Lord this morning. It's so good. We got a stray baby. She's about to preach up here. Hey, out of the mouth of babes, right? Baby starts prophesying to you, you stop and listen. Let me tell you. So today we're going to just talk as family. Are you guys good with that? All right. Today I'm going to be talking about disappointment. The definition of disappointment is sadness or displeasure caused by the non-fulfillment of one's hopes and dreams. Anybody ever been there? You're lying to me if you said you haven't, because we've all been there. And I want to tell you some stories today about my life, but I'm going somewhere with it. So it's not just story hour with Christine. I'm going somewhere. I'm going to share some things that I've learned over the years that have helped me through some very difficult times in my life. First, let me tell you about this rocking chair here. So when I was in school, when I was in high school, I went to public school. I was actually very smart, believe it or not. I was top of my class, just really smart, and it came really easy to me. And all I wanted to do was serve God. Unfortunately, those two things combined to not make me very popular with my peers. Smart and godly. You're a little bit freaky when you're in high school. I wanted friends so badly. I cried out to God all the time for godly friends. I just wanted Christian friends. I wanted a small group of Christian friends that I could be with and serve Jesus with. And then I was like, okay, God, just one friend. Just give me one friend. I'm good. Just one. Never happened. That's all I wanted. I just wanted one friend, one godly friend. See this little trophy here? I took this from the picnic. I think we won something, right? We had a team that won. Just saying. So there was much disappointment when I was a young person. I just wanted this. I just wanted a friend, a godly person in my life. It's hard to be alone. It's hard to do things alone. It's hard to be a young person alone. It's hard to be an older person alone. It's hard to go through life alone. And at 16 years old, my cousin, Doug, who is like a father figure to me, he refinished furniture and brought me this antique chair from Texas. And I loved it. This is I believe it's a Mission Oaks rocker. It's antique. It's over 100 years old. And I put it in my room, and it meant the world to me. But I still had no friends. Then something happened to me. And I started praying and spending time with God in that chair. Something started to change inside of me. Instead of disappointment, I realized I had an appointment with the Lord. Kevin Zadai says that disappointment is distance from your appointment. Appointment means, when we think of the word disappointment, the appointment part means an arrangement to meet someone at a particular time or place. That's interesting. When we think about disappointment, we think about all these things that are going wrong. But the root word of disappointment is appointment, which means an arrangement to meet someone at a particular time or place. Dis means the opposite of. See, I was living in disappointment, not having Christian friends, but what I really had was an appointment with Jesus. No more waiting. No more waiting for something on earth to fill the spiritual longing inside of me. See, I was looking for this. God, just give me one friend. And so it's like, oh, that's corny. You didn't need friends. When you walk down your school alone every day, it's hard. It's hard at I don't know, our age. I don't know how many people are my age. I'm 40 something. I quit keeping track of it. But it's hard. It's hard being alone. And I kept crying out to God, what is so difficult here, Lord? Just bring me one friend. I just want one friend here. In high school, I would come home and I would grab a Capri Sun after school. Who knows what Capri Sun are? Actually, we couldn't afford those. We didn't have Capri Sun. I would grab a snack and head to my bedroom, and I would shut the door. And I would sit in that chair and I would talk to Jesus as my best friend, as though he was sitting across from me. And I'm not making up stories, friend. I sat in that chair at 16, 17 years old. The world would say, that's loony. If you put your ear up to my door, I was talking to myself. But I sat in that chair and I shut the door, and I would laugh with him. I would cry with him. I would tell him funny things that happened that day. I would tell him things that hurt me. And I would not trade that time for anything in my life, friends. But I had a choice. I had a choice on what I was going to do. When we have disappointment or unfulfilled hopes and dreams, we carry an ache. It hurts. It doesn't seem fair. It doesn't make sense. It's just one thing, Lord. Why? Why can't you just give me that one thing? We start to question ourselves. Many, many times in high school, I said, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? I was a very likable person. I made friends with everybody. The potheads, the pregnant ones. But I didn't bring them in close because of the choices I had made with my Lord. But I started to question myself. That's what we do with disappointment. What's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? And the enemy comes in. Why won't God just do this one thing for you? It's simple. He's the creator, the God of the universe. Why won't he do this for you? The devil will always try and get you to question God's goodness and God's intention towards you. He will always try and get you to question his character and his love towards you. What is his name? He is the father of lies. So here's the deal. We live in a very broken world and we experience a lot of warfare. In a perfect world, all of my peers would be born again and on fire for God. That's the way it's supposed to be. But we live in a world where God gave us choices. See, I was going in the opposite direction of them. I could have any friend I wanted if I was doing what they were doing. But see, I was bought with a price. I wanted to serve the one who loved and died for me. So I had to be different. No one will be a friend to you like Jesus will. If I stayed in this disappointment, I would not have found this appointment right here. I would not have found myself sitting across from Jesus in my room at 16 years old, pouring my heart out to God and crying and showing him what was hurting me. He already knew. He knew already. But he was in my bedroom every day, enjoying that time with me, of me spilling myself out. In the midst of that, I never had a boyfriend in my whole life until I met my husband, Mike. Why? Because God's not good? None of the people in front of me are what I was looking for. See, you live in this disappointment, this place of ache, this place of, God, why won't you do this one thing for me? But what we forget is that we've made a choice to serve our Jesus. When I sat in that chair, I found a friend that sticks closer to me than a brother. I have another story. My mom didn't drive, and she couldn't afford a car for me. So again, I was the weird kid. I rode the bus until my last day of my senior year. I hated it. I lived up north in Illinois, and it was, when I say cold, oh, friends, unless you're from up north, Midwest, you talk about the devil using anything to mock you. I felt like I was getting slapped in the face. Number one, I had to ride the bus. I'm 17 years old, riding the bus as senior to school. And the wind and the cold is slapping you across the face. Where do you think the enemy is? Right here. Right here. You got nothing. You have nothing. You are nothing, and you have nothing. I hated it on there. There was weird kids, it was a weird bus, and it had a weird smell. When I was young and my father passed away, I had to ride the city bus around town. And we had to take taxis to get groceries. That's hard. And the devil's always right there to use your circumstances against you. But finally, I took a deep breath and I realized I had an appointment. I had a 30-minute bus ride in the morning, and I prayed in the Spirit for 30 minutes a day every morning. It's a choice. Do we walk in disappointment, or do we realize that we have an appointment? It fueled me. By the time I got to school, I was ready to stand up on a desk and tell everybody about Jesus. We had prayer meetings in the middle of our cafeteria where we'd all hold hands and we'd get mocked by the people that were walking. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. I'm telling you, friend, I would not be the person I am today if I didn't sow into that. If I just got through it. How many of us are just getting through it? I'm going to tell you a very deep part of my life. They didn't all have a happy ending like that. I carried disappointment for over 30 years about something. Many of you know that when I was 6, my father passed away. And the ache and disappointment that I carried made me feel heartsick all of the time. I had a giant hole inside of me my entire life. Many of you have known me for many years. You never knew the ache that I carried inside. All I wanted was a father. I wanted my mom to get married again. I wanted a dad. I wanted a happy family. And I begged the Lord. I begged him. Every birthday, every holiday, nothing, nothing, nothing. My father got sick when I was 2 and had cancer for 4 years. I have about 5 memories of when he felt good. We had one summer where he felt good before the cancer came back. I just wanted a new dad. And I had reasoned with God 1,000 times. This is so easy. Give my mom a man, I get a new dad. What's the problem here? I got married and was so happy, but I still carried the ache inside of me. I had hope deferred. Deferred means delayed. Hope delayed. I was always looking for a man for my mom. Those that know me, Janet, we would go out. I just wanted to see her happy and taken care of. Any man her age, I was like, Mom, look over there. I said, Mom, if he's got like all his teeth and a job, like, she would just roll her eyes at me. But see, to somebody that either has a father or that's not a big deal to them, it's like, well, you're married now, like it's no big deal. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when you're carrying disappointment or ache on the inside. And then my mom just passed away, and I was devastated by her loss, but something deeper was going on. I literally felt sick inside. And I have learned to filter my emotions through the Holy Spirit. I said, what is going on inside of me? I knew I could identify the grief of losing my mother. But I said, what is this? What is this inside of me? I literally felt sick to my stomach. And I realized when my mom passed, I lost all hope of ever having a father. It all died with her. When you want something so bad your whole life and it never happens, it can feel very devastating. See, I had waited and waited and waited. And on the inside, my life was on hold. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Being on hold on the inside. And friend, I could play it off so good. And I went to the Lord. Mike made me a she shed outside. I called it a creative shed, but it was really my shed. I said it's for everybody, but it's really not. It's just for me. He knew that when we'll all. No, it was for me. And I have a swing out there, like I'm 5 years old. I have a swing in my she shed. And I sat there. And I said, Lord, what is going on inside of me? And this is what I learned from the Lord. I wept with him because all earthly possibility of a father was gone. And I will never have that in this life. It's gone. So much possibility died with my mom. I had it all figured out. God would bring her a godly man and she would be happy and I would be happy. I had it figured out. I sat in there and I cried and cried, and the Father was so close to me. And I realized that I had spent 35 years of my life waiting for an earthly father to fill that spot in me. And so gently I felt him put his hand on me and he said, sweetie, you've made it an idol in your life. Oh man. I thank him that he's a good father because he waited 35 years to tell me that. I knew what I wanted. I wanted this, and it would fix so many things. I repented, I cried, and I felt him understand and love me. See, that's what I was waiting for. I had an appointment with him where I laid it all out. I said, all earthly possibility is over. There's got to be more than this. There's got to be more than just, I'll never have this here. And I sat with him and I had an appointment with him. Finally, knowing and understanding that he is the best father of all. See, there's so many times in our life that we are looking for something earthly to fill a spiritual hole that is inside of us. And this is a very vulnerable place for me to share with you. Friends, I've been in ministry for 20 years with my husband, but I carried a lot of disappointment. And when I sat with him that day and I realized that there's got to be more to life. There's got to be more to all of this. If the earthly possibility of something is gone. And I had sought him my whole life about, God, I want you as a father to me. But see, I wanted that earthly father more. I didn't give him the space to fill that hole inside of me. Because I was looking for something in the earthly realm. Psalm 13, I love David. The top of on this chapter is prayer turns depression into delight. And this is what David said, I'm hurting, Lord. Will you forget me forever? How much longer, Lord? Will you look the other way when I am in need? How much longer will I cling to this constant grief? I've endured this shaking in my soul. How much longer will the enemy have the upper hand? It's been long enough. Take a good look at me, God, and answer me. There's so many things that we've prayed for, that we've cried out to God for. And all of a sudden in Psalm 13, you can sense David stop and he says, breathe your life into my spirit. Bring light to my eyes in this pitch black darkness. See, I'm going to read Psalm 13, 14, and 15. I know sometimes the Psalms are out of order, but we're going to read it as a progression. David is desperate here. Don't let my enemy proclaim I've prevailed over him, for all my adversaries will celebrate when I fall. Lord, I've always trusted in your kindness, so answer me. I will yet celebrate with passion and joy when your salvation lifts me up. The one thing I see about David is he always ran right to the Lord. He always knew that a person or a situation was not going to fill what was going on inside of him. Psalm 14, David says, only the withering soul would say to himself, there is no God. When you're in the world, I walk in stores, all I see are withering souls. When something is withered and it's dried up. See, when you see people that say, I hate God, that is a withered soul. That is years of disappointment. That is years of things that haven't gone right in their life. I can almost guarantee you that there are very few people that just for the sake of not wanting to know God, they don't want anything to do with him. There's a reason. There's a withered soul in there that says, I can't do this anymore. I tried it once and I can't do it. He didn't answer me. He failed me. Only the withering soul would say to himself, there is no God. David goes on and it says, this is so beautiful. The Lord looks down in love, bending over heaven's balcony. Looking over all of Adam's sons and daughters. All the things that you've prayed for, all of the things that have happened in your life, all the things that haven't gone right. Friends, he has listened to you. But I'm telling you, there is nothing in your life that he cannot fill. There is nothing, no disappointment in your soul that he cannot fill, that you have an appointment with him. The next Psalm, Psalm 15, he said, Lord, who dares to dwell with you? Who presumes the privilege of being close to you? Living next to you in your shining place of glory. See, he's on this journey of being so desperate and then seeing the Lord reach over heaven's balcony to him. And then in Psalm 15, he's saying, Lord, who dares to dwell with you? He's talking about God living with him. Who presumes the privilege of being close to you, living next to you in your shining place of glory? Who are those who daily dwell in the life of the Holy Spirit? And then he talks about who these people are like that live with the Lord. They are passionate and they are wholehearted. They are always sincere and always speaking the truth. Their hearts are trustworthy. They refuse to slander or insult others. They never listen to gossip or rumors. Nor would they ever harm another with their words. They speak out passionately against evil and evil workers. See, this is what happens when you carry disappointment, when things don't go right, and then you go and sit with him, you become this person. That friendless person, that teenager that didn't have what she needed and wanted, sat in that chair and says, God, I have nothing but you. I have nothing in my life but you right now. I had no future in my mind. Friends, let me tell you something that I've never shared with anybody. When you carry disappointment, you learn how to cope. And I just shared this with my husband recently. When you carry hope deferred or hope delayed, the way that I coped is that I never looked forward. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Because why? I didn't want to be disappointed anymore. If I don't think about the future, I can't be disappointed. If I don't think about good things happening, I can't be disappointed. If I don't hope or dream, nobody can snatch it from me. See, I carried that in my life. I carried that in my life as being one of your pastors. I carried that in my life when people would say, "Oh, what are you doing?" I had nothing. And I said, "Lord, why is that? Why can't I look forward? Why can't I know you have so much for me? I know you have things written in my book. Why can't I see it?" And he said, "Because you've cut that part of your life out." He said, "You learn to cope by not dreaming." Mike and I had a prophecy years and years ago, 20 years ago, and the prophet said, "Dare to dream, and then I'll tell you how and when." I couldn't do it. I couldn't dare to dream. I couldn't handle any more ache in my life. I couldn't handle any more disappointment. So the Lord said to me, he said, "You've coped by not dreaming." But see, in my little she shed, I had an appointment with my Father. And he began to explain and download things to me that I had pushed down for so many years. See, because I knew what would fix that. I thought I knew what would fix it. But when I had an appointment in my little swing in my shed, he started telling me the way that I've coped over the years on the inside. And I'm telling you, friends, I have never felt so whole in my life. Losing both of my parents, I have never felt so whole. When David says this in Psalm 15, he's talking about who dares to dwell with you. David's saying, this is what I need in my life. I need to dwell with you. When he's talking about how they'll never crush others with exploitation or abuse. They would never be bought with a bribe. Against the innocent, they'll never be shaken. They'll stand firm forever. And then it goes to Psalm 16, and the top of this, it says, the golden secret. King David said, "Keep me safe, O mighty God. I run for dear life to you, my safe place." When I think of running for dear life, I think of being chased by a clown. Running for dear life is not how I walk in my neighborhood. Running for dear life is I am about to not live anymore. David said, "I run for dear life to you, my safe place." See, if we looked at life that way, that anything that comes up in our life, we have an appointment with him. So I said to the Lord, "You are my maker, my mediator, and my master. Any good thing you find in me has come from you." And he said to me, "My holy lovers are wonderful, my majestic ones, my glorious ones, fulfilling all my desires." This is what it says in Psalm 16:4. Yet there are those who yield to their weakness, and they will have troubles and sorrow unending. I want you to think about that for a minute. Yielding to your weakness. Yielding to disappointment. Yielding to the things that go on in your life. Yet there are those that yield to their weakness, and they will have troubles and sorrows unending. See, we have a choice what we're going to yield to. Are we going to yield to the disappointment? Are we going to yield to the prayers that seem unanswered? Are we going to yield to the things that have gone on in our life, the troubles and the sorrows that seem unending? Friends, we live in a very broken world. We live in warfare. It's hard down here. My whole life, since I was a very young child, I've had a very debilitating disease. I've had ulcerative colitis, and I've had times where I was in bed. I've had times I was hospitalized. I've had times that I was slipping out. And I could feel myself yielding to it because it was easier not to fight. And something would rise up in my spirit. And I realized that there's more written in my book than me dying at a young age. But see, you can't yield to it and you can't wait. Friends, I still suffer with that until I am healed. It doesn't say in my book, every day she will suffer, the end. It doesn't say both of her parents are died. Oh man, that's so sad. Come on. I don't think we realize what's written in our book. I have asked the Lord, please take me to heaven so I can read my book. Please. But I'm telling you what's not written in your book. You are abused, you will be broken forever. Is not written in your book. You battle a sickness. That's your identity. The end. You're in a wheelchair. That's too bad. The end. That's not what's written in your book. But see, what happens is we wait. If you just heal me, Lord, then I'll serve you. It doesn't work that way, friend. I will always contend for my healing. Always, because he is my healer. But I will not let my body dictate what's going on in my life. I will not let the loss that I've had in my life dictate who I am in this life. I can't tell you the amount of people my family has lost. My cousin that gave me this was a father figure in my life, and I lost him when he was 55 years old. Multiple people, Mike and I have lost a baby. Yet there are those that yield to their weakness. And they will have troubles and sorrows unending. The next verse, it's sobering. I never gather with such ones, nor give them honor in any way. This is what David says, Lord, I have chosen you alone as my inheritance. You are my prize, my pleasure and my portion. I leave my destiny and its timing in your hands. Your pleasant path leads me to pleasant places. That's what your book says. I leave my destiny and timing in your hands. When I lost my mom, I couldn't believe it. I'm going to tell you something, friends. It was not God's will for my mom to die early. Well, what do you mean by that? It wasn't God's will for her to die early. We are promised. Some say 120 years, whatever it is. She died at 66 years old. We live in a broken world, friend. But when I look in my book, it says she keeps going. She pastors with her husband. She talks to people about Jesus wherever she goes. But let me tell you, friends, after my mom died, I had an appointment in that chair. 5 months before my dad died, he took me through intense therapy and counseling with him. And 5 months after, I spent hours and hours and hours getting healed on the inside. That was my appointment in that chair, talking to my father, saying, I can't believe this is going on. What is written in my book? Tell me, how do I move on? How do I do this? Like Janet Ann said, what is my destiny? Because in the natural, that's it. I'm done. I'm done praying for people for healing. We just buried my mother. Friends, he's still the healer. Janet, you and I have had this talk many times. Janet lost her brother to cancer. Forgive me for sharing this publicly. But when they came to North Carolina, I ministered to her cheek to cheek on the floor at Jack's house. She said, I can't do this. I can't be in ministry. I can't pray for people. She was so devastated by his loss. And I put my hand on her cheek and I said, you know what? I don't understand it all, and I'm not going to give you an answer for that. But I'm going to tell you, he's still the healer. He is still the healer. He is still the deliverer. And in this broken world, you have so many good things written in your book. There are things, I had coffee with somebody the other day, beautiful woman of God. No idea the trauma she was carrying in her life. Friends, some of you have been through excruciating trauma. And what's the devil want? He wants to put you on hold. He doesn't want you reading this. He doesn't want you to do the things that God's called you to do. So what does he do? He tries to set us up. He sets us up with disappointment. Things happen in this broken world. But friend, I'm telling you, we can't stay there. There is so much more that God has for you. David said, Lord, I have chosen you alone as my inheritance. You are my prize, my pleasure, and my portion. I leave my destiny and its timing in your hand. Your pleasant path leads me to pleasant places. I'm overwhelmed by the privileges that come with following you. For you have given me the best. The way you counsel and correct me makes me praise you more. For your whispers in the night give me wisdom, showing me what to do next. Because you are close to me and always available. You tell me one friend that is always available. You tell me one parent that is always available and never ever going to hurt you. There is nobody in this earthly realm that will be as good as him. And friends, I'm not just saying that like, oh, it's okay, God will fill that place. Friends, I've been there. I've been there where people have said, oh, he'll be your father, it's going to be okay. Oh, I just wanted to smack him. You don't understand. You don't understand when I go to a wedding and there's a father-daughter dance. And I would give $1 million to be embraced by a father. You don't understand unless you've been there. You don't understand the ache. I don't understand your ache if you're not married. Some of you are longing for a spouse. Some of you are longing to have children. I'm not saying, friends, that it's not easy, but I'm telling you, in the midst of that disappointment, you have an appointment with him. To the point of, God, fill these arms that ache for children. Fill this place in me that aches for a spouse. I'm telling you, friends, part of this was because I was raised by a single mother. But when I got married, Jesus was her husband. That's who we had. When I married my husband, Jesus was my husband first. And I'm telling you, I don't just say that, well, he was my husband. No, I'm telling you, he's my husband first. I love Hallmark movies. I just do. It's corny. I get it. I know. Okay. What'd you say? Help us, Lord? Oh, forgive us. Mike would sit, and I was like, come on, just watch one with me. It's a horrible idea. This is my husband watching a Hallmark movie with me. Okay, the small town girl and the guy with the plaid shirt that has a tree farm that he inherited with the puppy and the little girl because he lost. Can we just watch it? We all know what's going to happen. I get it. It's predictable. So we don't watch Hallmark movies together anymore. You'll watch it with me. But see, let me tell you, friends, some of you in your marriages are looking for a trophy man. You're looking for a trophy wife. I did not marry Jesus. I married Mike Cowen. He did not marry Jesus. He married Christine Cowen with all her quirks and weird things. So what happens when your spouse isn't there for you? You just wait till they figure it out? Or you sit and have an appointment with that chair and say, you are my first love. You are my husband. You fill the wife spot in me. Friends, I don't say that off the top of my head. I have lived it. See, we're teaching a marriage conference in January. And I'm going to sum it up all to you. Jesus is my first love. And that's how we've made it. Because there was many, many times that I was not there for my husband. I was very ill. I was almost bedridden for a year. What happens then? What happens when your spouse isn't there for you? What happens if your spouse isn't born again? What happens when your spouse is battling depression? I guess that's it. Or what's written in here? Come here, sweetheart. Let me be your husband. And I found him as my husband. You see, life is hard. God does not cause bad things in your life. God did not kill my father or mother so that I would learn about him. So get that out of your head, friend. It doesn't work that way. Well, I have this sickness so I can know the sufferings of Jesus. I'm sorry, that's not biblical. I'm sorry. He did not cause it, but he certainly will use it. Yes. God does not make you suffer so you find him. That's very narcissistic, and that is not in his character. But see, you have a choice. You're on this stinky bus with a bunch of ungodly kids, and you pray in the Spirit and you get your spirit strong. You're in a job that you can't stand. You ask the Lord, why am I there? And you pray for everybody in that office while you're there. You walk by that phone of that nasty lady, just give her a revelation of you. We have to stop waiting. Because you'll end up 85 years old And you waited and waited and waited. And you did nothing from your book. I spent a lot of years not living, not truly living. I said, God, I'm in ministry. I want to feel happy. I want to feel hope. What is blocking this inside of me? And that's when he talked to me about how I had coped. Because, guys, I'm a very strong woman, pull up the bootstraps type person. And I feel like I can get through anything. I can't even explain to you the amount of stuff that Mike and I have been through, that I've been through in my own life. But see, what you don't want is you don't want to cope and miss an appointment with him. We push things down to deal with later. We push it down until this comes. But see, you don't want to wait. You don't want to wait for that. Every piece that you are missing, he is the perfect fit. I'm going to say that again. Every piece that you are missing, he is the perfect fit. When David said, because you are close to me and always available, my confidence will never be shaken. For I experience your wraparound presence every moment. My heart and soul explode with joy, full of glory. Even my body will rest confident and secure. For you will not abandon me to the realm of death, nor will you allow your Holy One to experience corruption. For you bring me a continual revelation of resurrection life, the path to the bliss that brings me face to face with you. See, this is what the Lord was speaking in worship. Up here, you're going to make it. It's going to be okay. You're going to get through this. That's what he was speaking before all of this, about your destiny, about the enemy. See, the enemy wants to keep you away from your book. He wants to keep you away from what God has for you. See, when the Lord stopped me right before my mom passed and right after, he took me in. I felt like I was in this crash college course of him teaching me things. Before she died, I didn't know she was going to die. I just knew that the Lord said, come with me. Come away with me. Yes, Lord. So for 5 months before and 5 months after, I sat in that chair having therapy with the Holy Spirit. I sat in that chair with him as my counselor. Hours and hours and hours of him going deep, doing inner healing in my life. Some of you need an appointment with a therapist. His name is Holy Spirit. Some of you need counseling. His name is Holy Spirit. I'm not saying you don't need to go talk to somebody. I'm all for that. But don't miss your appointment with the Holy Spirit. You have so much destiny in your life. Like I said, it is not written in my book, after the age of 6, I will have a giant hole in my life and I will be fatherless and I will never be the same. That's not written here. Because he's up there looking down saying, oh, sweetie, I have so many plans for you. I have so many things that are good. It wasn't written in my book, you'll never have Christian friends. Because truthfully, friend, I have so many friends right now, godly friends that love Jesus. It doesn't say she'll never be happy again because her mother passed away early. You know what's written in there? That her 3 kids will go on and serve Jesus the rest of her life. It doesn't say she'll battle sickness her whole life and never live again. See, sometimes you just need to kick the devil in the teeth. Sometimes you just need to do something completely opposite of what's been set up in your life. You've been abused in your life, go help women that are abused. That's how you get back at the enemy. You get back at him for the things he dared to do to you. See, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is the tree of life. I always looked at that in the natural. Oh, well, if you get married, a longing fulfilled. Okay, but what happens if that doesn't happen? Is that it? That verse means nothing? And the Lord said to me, I am your longing fulfilled. Janet, will you come up here for me? Or Jenny, whoever's coming up. What is the ache that you're carrying in your life? What disappointment have you faced? What hole is inside of you that you've tried to hide? Friend, I've lived with the ache. I've lived with feeling heartsick. And I'm here to tell you today that there's more for you, friend. I'm not saying don't believe for the things that God has for you. Believe him for them. But what disappointment has happened in your life? Is it a marriage that fell apart or a desire to be married? Is it an ache to have children? Is it disappointment from life in general? It's not how you thought this life would turn out. Why am I this age and not that far along? Is it your finances? I'm supposed to be retired by this point. Are you older and don't know what has become of life? I'm telling you today, as God was speaking this morning, God has so much destiny for you. You have an appointment with God. And I'm telling you today, the Lord woke me up last night and he said, tell them not to wait. Don't wait any longer. Don't wait until I have enough money. What is that amount of money that you're wanting to have? Because I'm telling you, friend, when you have a hang up in your life of, when I have this much money, then I'll serve you. What do you think the enemy's going to do? He's going to keep you poor. Why? Why would he do that? This has countless people for you to touch. This has great exploits for you, my friend. There's so much destiny that God has for you. He told me to tell you last night, it was probably midnight. He woke me up and he said, tell them not to wait. Tell them not to wait until I have this or that, until I'm fully healed, or until I have enough money, or until I'm married. Don't wait, my friend. He wants to heal the ache in your life. He wants to fill the holes in your life. And he wants to push you out and say, get going. Don't wait anymore. There's so much good written in your books. You can start today. As David said, you are my prize. You are my longing fulfilled. The Lord also said to me tonight, or last night, he said, you have not messed things up. He is so good that he brings course correction, even if we feel that we've messed it up. From the moment we got in this morning, God's been talking about destiny. This is just one area that the enemy loves to hold people back. And today, friend, he's challenging you. Don't wait any longer. Don't live in the disappointment. You have an appointment with him. You have an appointment. If you have to ask him questions and say, why? Ask him questions. I don't know if you'll like what he tells you. Don't be scared to ask him questions. Don't be scared to be vulnerable with him. When I cried out to God, I said, God, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make that an idol in my life. And I could sense his hand on my back saying, shh, it's okay. I know why. But I decided I'm not going to wait any longer. Don't wait until, friend. Because the enemy will always try to keep you until. I'll serve God when. I'll serve God when I'm done with this. I'll serve God when I get this. I'll be in the ministry when I do this. There's been many times, friend, and this is not just to say things about myself, I have literally drugged myself to church. And some of you have done the same thing. I remember not having enough gas to get to church, laying hands on that take and said, I will not miss this service today. You talk to your body and say, body, come on, come in alignment. I got work to do. You're lonely. You sit down with him and you say, oh man, I'm feeling it tonight, Lord. It's the holidays. It's Friday night. Everybody's out doing fun things and I'm sitting here by myself. Come sit with me. Whatever you're facing in your life, friend, I can tell you with 100% certainty that he will fill every hole in your life. And not only will he fill it, that he has so much good written in your books. Will you stand with me, please?